Welcome back everyone. So in this class we're going to discuss more about the functions, and we know that JavaScript functions is pretty handy, and we're going to discuss about functions and lot more of the syntax of the wordings, the statements, and what are the words that declaring a function, why functions are so powerful, and why functions is so much they're given so much care to the function like that. We will discuss. Okay, we will discuss everything in this class. So let's get started. First, what we're going to discuss in function is we're going to discuss about function statement. And one more thing, if you don't watch the series in the line by line order, so just go and watch the line by line order. It is really helpful to understand the JavaScript much more better, because whatever the concept that we're going to discuss or we're going to see now, it's going to be mostly whatever the concept that we have discussed before. It's going to be that. Okay, if you are watching this video for the first time, so every Wednesday you can see there is a series of Hello JavaScript has been introduced. You can just go and watch that series, and it will be really helpful to understand what we are going to see in this functions call. Okay, so give a look into that. Okay, let's get started. So first we're going to see about what is function statement. Simply how we can create a function. So what is a function and how we can create a function, and we can discuss. So when I say function, I think you know the basic knowledge about functions and everything. So it returns a block of code. So whatever we want to write, it returns a block of code, and whenever we want, we can call the function name, and it will execute. Right. So how we will create a function? Well, we will create a function with the help of function keyword, and we need to give a name for it. For example, let us say xyz, and this is going to be the name of the function. And whatever the block of code that you need to write, you will write it here, right? And if you want to evoke the function, then you need to call the function xyz, and then you need to give this parenthesis. If you give this parenthesis, what will happen? It's just going to evoke the function. So it's just going to run whatever inside this function. It's just going to execute it. For example, I just simply say in the console.log, you need to print hello. So if I print and if I just run the statement, you can see we will getting hello. So what is happening when I just call the name of the function and I use the parenthesis? What is going to happen? So here it's just going to take the function, and it's just going to just run it in the call stack, and whatever inside that in this function, it just get run. Once the function is get run, it just get removed from the call stack. Okay, so that's what going to happen. So that is what happening here also. Yet, so we have completed. This is function statement. Then what is function declaration? Well, function declaration is not an different one or different thing. So the function statement is an another name that is going to be declaration function, or you can people will call declaration function, or it's declaration function. So our function declaration like that they will call it. So a normal function, simple function name and code to execute whatever they are returning. This is going to be the function declaration or function statement, whatever it is. It is going to be the exactly same. So there is another way also we can able to write a function. What is that? Well, that is called as expression type function. So we can tell it as it is going to be the expression function, expression type. Okay, it is an expression type function. So what is an expression type function? So if I say expression type function, so function is treated as a first class citizen. That is not a matter. We can simply say functions are treated with a special care in JavaScript. Means we can able to store a function inside a variable. For example, I create a function, let be, okay, and I just going to create a function, okay, and I just going to return something. So this is a function expression. So what we are doing, we are creating a function, and we are storing a function inside, right? We are storing a function inside a variable as a value. So simply expression type is nothing but inside a variable we are storing a function as a variable. So you can see that we don't have any function name here. Why? Because right now it is not a function, it is a value, just a value. So here we have this function, whatever if, how we evoke the function without the name, we cannot evoke the function, right? So what we need to do, we need to call the value, and this holds a function. Just I just want to evoke whatever you have it, just invoke it. So it is a function. So it is going to invoke whatever it is going to execute here. So I just say in this console.log, I just say expression type. Okay. So if I done this and if I run it, you can able to see we will getting this expression. So this is expression type, and you can able to see a function that is stored as a value inside another function. It is called as function expression. Okay. So this is all about that. And what is an anonymous function? Then another term. What is an anonymous function? So anonymous is function is nothing but a function without a name. So what happens if I run a function without a name like this, and if I just run it, we will get an error. Why we are getting an error? So you can able to see what is the error that it is throwing the message. So the function statement requires a function name, so we cannot create an anonymous function. Then why we actually have something called as anonymous function? Well, these anonymous functions are useful to store a function as a value inside a variable. You can able to see in expression we are storing a function as a value inside a variable, right? Same that. So here you can able to see we don't give any name, because if I give the name, it is not considered as a function. So though it is a value, so it is not going to be, we cannot execute with that. We will discuss that later. But simply anonymous functions or something that is, we can, if we want to store a function as a value to a variable, then in that time we can use this anonymous function. Okay, so it is just a term. So a function without a name is called as anonymous function. That's what it is. Okay, so this is all about that. So now we want to discuss what is the difference between a function and a function expression. So you may have that. You have the doubt, right? So when I want to create a function, when I have, what is the difference between expression type, that you have doubt, right? So a difference is hoisting. So that's what I say. Like if you don't know what is hoisting, please have a look into the previous series in this YouTube channel we have. So you every Wednesday you will see that in TWT you will get the series. So just look into that. Then you can able to understand. Probably the hoisting is nothing but, so moving your variables and function to the top of the file, even the code start to execute before the code start to execute. That is all about hoisting, and we will discuss about that in the previous video. Have a look into that. Okay. So what happened if I run this function before the invocation? Same like that. If I run this function, if I run this function before the invocation, so what is going to happen? Well, the hoisting is going to take place. So we know that if creating a function in a declaration type, a function is created like this, it is fully hoisted. Mean it is probably it will execute. It will not throw any error. It will execute. Why? Because in the memory it is fully hoisted. Even before the JavaScript started to read the code, the memory allocation for this function is happened before itself, right? But when we have something called as const b, what is this? This is not a function right now, it is a variable. So when we are declaring a variable with const or let, it is, we discussed about that it is hoisted, but we cannot get that hoisting value. It is going to throw us error. Let us see that. If I clear and if I run it, you can able to see the hello is executed, and this one is getting error. It is showing that reference cannot access b before initialization, like we cannot access it. So what if I give, instead of b, if I say let, what is the different message that we will get? You will get cannot access b before initialization. The same thing. Why? Because let and var, even though they are hoisted, we cannot access those values before the initialization. Okay, so that's what it will happen. But if I give var, okay, if I give var, here guess the value output. Okay, if you know already hoisting, then probably you tell the answer. But here is also a small jargon is that we need to discuss. I just clear here also we're going to get an error. If you know hoisting, it will be shock for you. But here also we're going to get an error. If I run this code, you can see b is not a function. It is telling that b is not a function. So you can clearly watch it. What we have done here, we just invoke the function. So this parentheses are used for a function to invoke, right? Whatever inside that function, we need to invoke it. So that is what we are using this parenthesis. Same like that in B, I use it a parenthesis. But actually, what is B? So right now, B is undefined. It's just a value, right? We are just a value. Once it is reaches this line, then only it will execute, right? So if I just remove this B, okay, we just simply call here in the console.log, simply call the b value. What we will get now? The answer is undefined. You can able to get without an error. We will get an undefined because initially it is not a function, just a value, so it is undefined. So the same thing, once it is come to here, once it is reaches this line, and if I try to access this value, now we will get this function formula. We are not evoking the function, we are accessing the function value. So we will get this function formula. You can able to see we are getting this function formula, and this windows.runtime, it is because of the JS min, but we are actually getting this console.log. Okay, so that's what they are writing like this. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So fine. So we have done with that. And if I want to run the function, then you can evoke like this. And if you run it, it will be work fine. That's what it will do. So simply, the difference between the function declaration and function expression is hoisting. So when you are declaring a function declaration, it is fully hoisted, means you can able to call a function before the initialization. It is completely possible. But when you declare a function with the expression type, so what will happen? So if a variable is created, okay, you are creating a variable. If it is var, then it will not throw error. It will give us undefined because the memory allocation has happened. So the partial hoisting is takes place. But if you are declaring a variable with let and const, then it is going to then what it is going to do, it is going to throw us an error. Even though they are hoisted, we cannot access the hoisted values of let and var, sorry, let and const before the initialization. So it will throw us, it is not initialized, we cannot access before initialization. This error you will get. That is the difference between a function declaration and function expression. Well, that's it. So we discussed about what is anonymous function also, and we discussed about what is the difference between expression type and what is the difference between function expression and function. This one we have discussed. The next one is going to D. We're going to see named function expression. So what is meant by this? What is meant by named function expression? Well, the named function expression or nothing but we have a function, but even though the function also has a name, you can able to see we have a expression type function, but instead of storing an anonymous function, we also having a name for this function. And just get the output. If I call the b value, we know that the function is going to execute, right? It is just execute and it is giving the value. What if I give xyz, if I just call the name of the function, if I execute, and most people think like it will give the expression, but the answer is here it will throw error. It will say XYZ is not defined. Why? Because here the function is not a function. It is a value. So while you are creating this one, so this identifier, it is not in the outer scope. It is not in the global scope, right? So what we are doing, what is the variable will do? So var is a container, creating a container, and b is the variable. Inside this variable, we are putting this function. So b is accessible to us, not this XYZ. So then where we can able to access this? Well, we can able to access this XYZ only inside this function XYZ. If I call for it, you can able to see console.log XYZ. That's what I am asking. If I clear and if I run, you can able to, sorry, I just want to evoke the B function. You can able to see that entire function is returned. So whatever the function is, the function name, it is written because inside this variable we have created another one. That variable is xyz. Okay, so that scope, that label is xyz, that identifier is xyz. So you cannot access this xyz outside this function because it is not there, it is not in that scope. So you can able to access this xyz inside this function. You can able to access it. Probably for expression type without name, it's good. That's why we are not giving any name. If you give any name, if you probably you need this function, you need to call the function inside that function, then you can use it like registration, that the type. Okay, so in the type of thing you can able to use. So that is what is a function with a named expression. Okay, so that's what it is. So the last that we're going to discuss is first class function in JavaScript. So this first class functions are something that is paved a way for the higher order function and closures and whatever we have declare, whatever we have going to see the upcoming classes is going to be there, like callbacks. So much of things is there. So they are called as they are, it's paved the way. Okay. So what is first class function? First class function. Well, JavaScript treats the functions as first class citizen. So if it is first class citizen or first class function, both are same only. Okay, so only the words are different. Okay, both are same. So what it is means a function can able to return. There are, I can say like plenty of reasons why JavaScript is treats their functions as a first class citizen. The first one is like this: we can able to store a function as a variable inside and another thing, right? So this is also an and one that function treats functions as first class citizen, right? So we can able to store a function inside a variable. So whenever we want, we can just access the variable and we can invoke the variable. It is called as a function. It is just invoke the function. So this is one. So the second one is going to be a function can return another function. For example, I'm just creating a function, and the name of the function is xyz. I just say xyz, sorry, xyz. Okay, and this function is going to return, okay, it's going to return another function. Okay, this function is going to return another function, and this function, even with name, with anonymous function you can return, with name also you can return. I just say y. So if I ask for in the console dot log return as xyz, okay, if I ask for it, what is going to happen? So it is going to return the entire formula because I'm not invoking the function. If I just save it and if I clear and if I run it, you can able to see it is returning the entire formula. If I invoke this function, what we will have another function that this function is going to return, right? You can able to see this function is getting written, and we have discussed about this. So closures, we can able to access the parameters of the parent function, and also we can able to access the variables of a parent function and everything, right? So this is one of the great example that function, because JavaScript treats their functions as first class citizens. That is the reason that we can able to return not only JavaScript, even not all the programming language, some other programming language you can able to do the same thing. So they are called a first class citizen. They treat the function as first class citizen. A function can return and another function like this. So they are called as first class citizen. And what we doing this, what is the concept that's paid off? Like we can able to see the scope chain, we can able to have the concept like closures, and we can have in much more things we're going to discuss in future. Everything is there, right? So that is what actually because of this behavior JavaScript is, we are telling the JavaScript treat the function as first class citizen. Not only this, we have discussed that this is also one of the behavior that JavaScript can able to store a function inside a variable, and JavaScript return another function when while calling this function we can able to return it, and this concept will be paid way for. And also there is another thing is also there. What is that? A function can, okay, not only return another function, we can able to pass a function as an argument to another function. So we know that what is argument and what is parameter. I just simply tell that a function, we have a function like this. We have a function, okay, like a xy, okay. So whatever we are giving here, it is a para, so it is an identifier or a name or a value that we can able to use inside this, right? We can able to, whatever we are having this value, we can able to use it as an identifier for it. And where it gets the value, well, while during executing this function xy, and if I give 2 comma 3, right? So this 2 is go here and this 2 3 is go here, and it will execute it. And not only this, a function can able to, we can able to pass a function as an argument to another function. Well, let us see that. For example, it is creating a function, okay, and I just say y is that, and here function, it is going to be an y is that, okay. And here I just going to say in the console.log, i just want to I just want to just say para, and I have a parameter called para. Now what I'm going to do, I just going to get two values. I just going to sum those two values, like let sum, okay, equal to, and I just going to say param 1 plus param 2. And what I'm doing here, not only here we have that and we have summing it, and now I just going to create another one that is going to be call, okay, I can say call back, call call b, and here this is another argument. And what I'm going to do for this parameter, I'm going to pass this function. So how can I pass this function? Means you can pass the function by using their name. For example, I just say y is it. So you don't want to invoke the function, so you just want to only invoke the function when you need to execute it. So here I'm just passing the function, so this entire function is going to pass, and it is going to store in an identifier called call b. Now what I'm going to do, I just say call b, okay. So here I just going to say call b, and once this function is done, okay, once this function is the value is done, I just want to pass this sum into this call b. Now what we are doing, we are invoking this function, and this function is nothing but the function that we have declared here. So whatever the value that we are getting in the param, it is go to this param, and it is going to execute in the console.log, right? If I clear and if I run it, you can able to see we will get this value. And what if I don't give any value, okay? If I create it like this, it is going to say unexpected token error, something error will be happen like this. And if I clear and if I run like this, you can see call b is not a function. It is telling that call b is not a function because we need to give some values. Just a minute. So what is the use case of this one? So we will discuss this one in the asynchronous concept. So simply it is called as callback functions. So simply we are calling a function inside another function, and we are passing a function as an argument to another function. Okay, so that is called as callback function. So you can able to see that by declaring callback function. So once the result is done, what we can do, we can send the result to another function to display it. Okay, so we can send another function to display it. So if there is any errors or anything is occurs, then this function will not execute. This function will not execute. So that's what going to happen. For example, let us say like this, something like I have created, and if I do it, you can get an error here. This function will not get executed. Okay, so but once you doing something like return something and you are doing that, you will get executed. In this concept we will discuss in callback. Simply let us understand what is a first class function. The function can able to store return and another function, that is actually first class function. And JavaScript can do even more. It can able to pass a function as an argument to another function, and it is can able to store a function inside a variable also. So these all are combined together. We say that functions are first class citizen in JavaScript. Because of the behavior, we can able to achieve to those things. Okay, so that's all for today. So in the next class, we will discuss about a lot about the JavaScript function and things. And if you have any doubts regarding functions and the function way, what is the statement is given and what are the types they have been given, just tell it in the comment box or contact us in the WhatsApp group. We will clear your doubts. See you in the next class.